Hi everyone, I hope you all are great and I hope you had a good weekend. Today we'll finish up our lesson on the prefix and suffix. So last week we had quite a number of lessons under it and today we will finish up the last two. So first you have to log in using the aplusstudent.com. Click on your name, move on to language art, the grade 5 and the chapter's prefix and suffix. The lesson will be words with less, words with able and able. Alright, so we'll start now. So we have what we call the suffix. Now the suffix is added to the end. Okay, so end of the base word. So we have base word. The base word now is the main word. Okay, so the base word is the main word that we have. Just for example, we could have pain. Pain could be a base word because it's a word on its own. It has a complete meaning on its own. And once we add a suffix to it, it creates a new meaning. So basically, once you add a suffix to a base word, you have a new meaning. Alright, so base word is pain, and then suffix would be what? Less, right? So the suffix less means without. When we say painless, it means without pain. So something that it isn't painful at all. Alright, so you can see that we already had pain, but it was a different meaning on its own. And once we added the less, which is a suffix, it gave us a different meaning again, which became painless. Now, knowing the meaning of a suffix can help you determine the meaning of a word. If you know the meaning of the suffix, it can be easier for you to determine the meaning of the new word created. Alright, so let's look at some examples. Alright, so we have the first here, which says, why might you describe a software program as useless? So, use is a base word, and then you add the less. So, what does useless mean? It means what? because it doesn't do what you want it to do. So once something is useless, it is not important, without use, not necessary. Okay? So we have the next, which says, how would you feel after a sleepless night? Now, sleep is what? A base word. And then you say sleepless, that means without sleep, right? Alright, so how would you feel after sleepless night? Of course, you feel exhausted, you feel very tired, which is meaningless. So we have meaning. So meaning is a word on its own, and then once you add the less, it becomes without meaning. So which could be meaningless. It will be what? A random string of words. So it's meaningless because it doesn't have any use. Okay, so move on to the test and you can share your answers with me. Okay, when might you feel helpless? When you have no power to change things or when you have the power to change things? When do you feel helpless? All right, so helpless is when you have no power to change things. So it's like without help. So you have a situation that is just very difficult. Of course, you would be helpless. Now, why might a basketball team feel hopeless? Because they're losing badly or because the game is tied? Which of them will make a basketball team feel hopeless? So because they're losing badly, they would feel hopeless. Okay. So we have which is less likely to be described as tasteless. Orange juice or water less likely to be described as tasteless. So tasteless would be what? So oranges would less likely be tasteless because it is sweet, which would be what less in a store. Play money or actual money, which is what less in a store. So play money would be what less in a store. How would you feel after a sleepless night? Exhausted or well rested? So you'd feel what? Exhausted. What is weightless? A light bulb or a light? So which is weightless? Okay, so we have lights. Okay, good. Thank you for your answers. Which is meaningless? A sentence or random strings of words? Which will be meaningless? So, a random string of words. Who might you describe as penniless? Whom might you describe as penniless? Someone who is trying to expand her business or someone who has no way of paying off her debts? Which of these is penniless? So, the second, right? Who would be called a tireless champion of the poor? Someone who has done few things to help the poor, someone who has done many things to help the poor. So we have the second. What might you use to fill out a paperless survey? A pen or a computer? So we have what? Computer. All right, that's it for the lesson, which is words with less. We move on to the last, which is words with able and evil. All right, so we already know that suffix are added to the end of the base word, and the base word is a word on its own. Okay, now we have able, and able means able to be. So whenever you see the suffix able or able, it just means able to be. Okay, so able to be, able for something to happen. All right, so it's almost like possible, which is solvable, a problem that has a solution. So if you say able, that means you can deal with it, it can be taken care of. Okay, that's why when we say which is solvable, we have a problem that has a solution, and which is collectible, we have an ordinary spiral notebook. Then we have with what is reducible, we have something that can be broken down into smaller parts. Okay, move on to the test. You can share your answers with me. Which is sliceable, a loaf of bread or a salad? All right, so a loaf of bread will be what? Sliceable, yeah? Which is a more achievable goal? Running a mile in under 4 minutes or running a mile in under 7 minutes? All right, so we have the second. Why might you use an erasable ink so that you can make changes or so that your words can't be altered? First or second? All right, so we have so that you can make changes, which is preventable, sunburn or thunderstorm. So we have a sunburn can be preventable. So which is replaceable, something common or something rare? So something common can be replaceable. Then, which is more arguable? Whether it's more fun to go to the beach or the mountains, whether Antarctica is warmer than the Amazon rainforest. So, which is more arguable? All right, so we have what? The first one. So, which is usually adjustable, t-shirt or belt? So, belt is adjustable. Which business is profitable? One that makes more money than it spends, or one that is filing for bankruptcy? Which of them is profitable? So, first one. Okay. So, which is more manageable? Finishing a week worth of homework in one evening or finishing a day's worth of homework in one evening? Okay, so we have finishing a week's worth of homework in 1 week, or okay. So which is avoidable? Being fined for a late library book, paying the taxes you owe. So the first one. Alright, that's it for our lesson under prefix and suffix. So far, we've completed all the lessons under. You have to try to do that if you haven't done this before. Can you tell me if you have any questions before we end? Alright, so since no questions, we will end here. Complete the lesson if you haven't done it. See you all next time. Bye, everyone.